9 plants that will destroy your garden this fall. Listen up, fellow gardeners. Sam here from Seniors Gardening Advice, and I'm about to save you from making 9 costly mistakes that could turn your beautiful fall garden into a nightmare. These seemingly gorgeous plants are secretly waiting to invade your yard, drain your wallet, and create years of backbreaking work. Some of them will spread faster than gossip at a church social, while others are so toxic they could harm your grandchildren and beloved pets. The worst part? Garden centers are actively selling these troublemakers right now, and most gardeners have no idea what they're bringing home. But don't worry, I've got your back with safer, smarter alternatives that will give you the same beauty without the headaches. Before we dig into this life-saving list, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Join our Seniors Gardening Advice family, where we help experienced gardeners like yourself avoid expensive mistakes and create stunning landscapes that actually last. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's coming next.
Plant number 1, Japanese knotweed, the garden destroyer. Let's start with the absolute worst offender, Japanese knotweed. This plant is so destructive that it's literally banned in many countries, yet somehow it still finds its way into unsuspecting gardens through contaminated soil or neighboring properties. At first glance, Japanese knotweed looks almost tropical, with its large heart-shaped leaves and bamboo-like stems that can grow up to 10 feet tall. The clusters of creamy white flowers might even seem charming in late summer. But here's the terrifying truth. This plant is basically the Terminator of the garden world. Once Japanese knotweed establishes itself, it becomes nearly impossible to eliminate. Its root system, called rhizomes, can extend 20 feet in every direction and burrow 3 feet deep. These roots are so aggressive they can crack concrete foundations, burst through asphalt driveways, and destroy underground pipes. Homeowners have literally had to sell their houses because of Japanese knotweed. The plant spreads through tiny root fragments. Even a piece smaller than your fingernail can spawn an entire new colony. Many municipalities require professional removal that can cost thousands of dollars, and even then, it often takes years of repeated treatments. If you're finding this information helpful, give this video a thumbs up and share it with your gardening buddies. They need to know about these dangers too. Instead of risking Japanese knotweed, try native alternatives like elderberry or serviceberry. Both offer beautiful foliage and flowers without the destructive tendencies.
Plant number 2, giant hogweed, the skin burner. Our second plant to avoid is giant hogweed, and this one is genuinely dangerous to human health. Many gardeners mistake it for an impressive ornamental plant because of its massive size. It can tower 12 feet high, with umbrella-like flower clusters that span 4 feet across. But here's the scary reality. Giant hogweed produces a toxic sap that causes severe chemical burns. When this clear, watery sap contacts your skin and is exposed to sunlight, it triggers a reaction worse than poison ivy. We're talking about painful, blistering burns that can leave permanent scars and increase your skin's sensitivity to sunlight for years. Children are especially vulnerable because they're naturally curious about large, unusual plants. Even brushing against giant hogweed on a sunny day while wearing short sleeves can result in hospitalization. The plant's toxic compounds can also cause temporary or permanent blindness if they get in your eyes. Giant hogweed spreads rapidly along waterways and roadsides. A single plant produces up to 50,000 seeds that remain viable in soil for up to 7 years. Once established in an area, it forms dense colonies that crowd out native vegetation and create erosion problems. Many states classify giant hogweed as a noxious weed, making it illegal to plant, sell, or transport. If you discover it on your property, contact local authorities immediately. This isn't a DIY removal job. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss our weekly gardening tips that could save you time, money, and pain. For impressive height and texture without the danger, consider native options like elderberry, sumac, or tall native grasses that provide drama without drama.
Plant #3,
English ivy, the silent strangler. Now let's discuss a plant that fools countless homeowners every single year. English ivy garden magazines love featuring this vine cascading elegantly over stone walls or covering cottage-style fences. It looks so refined, so timeless, so perfectly English countryside. But beneath that charming exterior lurks one of the most aggressive invasive plants you could ever introduce to your landscape. English ivy doesn't just grow, it conquers. Once it takes root, it begins a systematic takeover of your entire yard. First, it carpets the ground, smothering your carefully planted flower beds and choking out grass. Then it begins its vertical assault, climbing trees, fences, and even the walls of your house. Those tiny rootlets that help it climb don't just cling, they actually penetrate and damage surfaces. On trees, English ivy adds weight and creates sail-like surfaces that make branches more likely to break in storms. The real nightmare begins when you try to remove established English ivy. Those roots burrow deep into soil and mortar, making complete removal nearly impossible. Professional removal can cost thousands of dollars, and even then, tiny root fragments left behind will send up new shoots within weeks. English ivy also poses health risks. Its berries are toxic to children and pets, and the plant produces airborne particles that can worsen allergies and respiratory problems. Are you learning something new? Hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you've ever battled English ivy in your yard. For beautiful climbing vines that actually behave themselves, try native alternatives like Virginia creeper, trumpet vine, or climbing hydrangea. They provide coverage and beauty without the invasive nightmare.
Plant number 4, Bradford Pear, the Widowmaker. Every spring, Bradford pear trees create stunning displays of white blossoms that make neighborhoods look like fairylands. Garden centers push these trees relentlessly because they're cheap, fast-growing, and undeniably beautiful in their prime. But here's what they don't tell you. Bradford pears are essentially ticking time bombs in your landscape. The fundamental problem lies in their structure. Bradford pears develop extremely narrow, weak branch angles that cannot support the tree's rapid growth. As the tree matures, its branches become heavy and unstable. Even moderate winds can cause massive limbs to split and crash down, earning this tree the nickname Widowmaker among arborists. The damage potential is enormous. Falling Bradford pear trees have crushed cars, damaged roofs, and injured people. Insurance claims related to Bradford pear damage cost homeowners millions of dollars annually. What seemed like a bargain at the garden center becomes an expensive liability within just a few years. Beyond the safety issues, Bradford pears are ecological disasters. They produce thousands of seeds that sprout into thorny, wild trees throughout natural areas. These invasive offspring crowd out native trees that wildlife depends on for food and shelter. Many states now classify Bradford pears as invasive species and actively work to remove them from public lands. The trees also have weak wood that breaks easily, short lifespans, and shallow root systems that make them prone to toppling. They're literally designed to fail. If this information is helping you make smarter gardening choices, please share this video with other gardeners in your community. Knowledge like this can prevent accidents and save money. For beautiful spring blooms without the risks, choose native alternatives like serviceberry, redbud, or dogwood. These trees offer stunning flowers, support local wildlife, and won't become hazards as they mature.
Plant number 5, invasive ornamental grasses, the fire hazards. Garden centers love promoting ornamental grasses as low-maintenance, contemporary landscape features. The marketing photos show them swaying gracefully in gentle breezes, their feathery plumes catching golden sunlight. They promise movement, texture, and year-round interest with minimal care. But many popular ornamental grasses, especially non-native varieties like pampas grass, fountain grass, and certain miscanthus species, create serious problems that garden centers conveniently forget to mention.
First, there's the fire hazard. Those beautiful fluffy seed heads quickly turn into dry, brittle tinder once temperatures drop. In areas prone to drought or dry conditions, ornamental grasses become literal fire starters right next to your home. Fire departments regularly respond to grass fires that spread to houses, fences, and neighboring properties. Then there's the invasion issue. Many ornamental grasses produce thousands of seeds that scatter on every breeze, establishing new colonies in natural areas where they crowd out native plants. What starts as a single decorative clump in your yard can become an ecological problem affecting entire watersheds. Maintenance is another hidden challenge. Despite being marketed as low maintenance, many ornamental grasses require annual cutting, which is backbreaking work. The dried stems are tough as wire and require heavy-duty tools. Some varieties develop root systems so dense and tough that removal requires professional equipment. Before we continue, remember to subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice and hit that notification bell. We've got so much more valuable information coming your way. For movement and texture without the problems, choose native grass alternatives like little bluestem, switchgrass, or buffalo grass. They provide the same aesthetic benefits while supporting local ecosystems and requiring minimal maintenance.
Plant number 6. Norway maple, the soil thief. Norway maples trick countless homeowners because they look almost identical to beloved sugar maples. They grow quickly, provide dense shade, and seem like perfect landscape trees. Garden centers stock them heavily because they're cheap to produce and easy to sell to customers wanting fast results. But Norway maples are basically bullies in tree form. Their root systems spread wide and shallow, aggressively competing with every other plant in your yard for water and nutrients. This creates root deserts where grass dies, flowers fail, and even established plants struggle to survive. The canopy compounds this problem by creating such dense shade that sunlight can't reach the ground below. Instead of the dockled shade that supports understory plants, Norway maples create botanical dead zones where nothing can grow. Your landscaping dreams quickly become patches of bare dirt. Norway maples also produce massive quantities of seeds, those little helicopter-shaped samaras that children love to throw. But what's cute in small numbers becomes overwhelming when thousands of seedlings sprout in flower beds, lawn cracks, and gutters. Keeping up with volunteer Norway maple seedlings becomes a never-ending chore. From an ecological perspective, Norway maples are disasters. They outcompete native trees in woodlands, reducing biodiversity and eliminating food sources for wildlife. Many states now classify them as invasive species. Drop a comment below if you've ever wondered why nothing grows under your maple tree. It might be a Norway maple causing the problem. For reliable shade without the ecological damage, plant native alternatives like sugar maples or red maples or oak species. They provide beautiful canopies while supporting beneficial insects, birds, and other wildlife.
Plant number 7. Autumn crocus, the beautiful killer. The autumn crocus seems like a gardener's dream plant. Just as most flowers are fading and gardens are looking tired, these delicate lilac-pink blooms emerge to provide unexpected late-season color. They appear almost magical, sprouting directly from the ground without visible foliage. But this beauty masks a deadly secret. Every part of the autumn crocus contains colchicine, a compound so toxic at even small amounts can be fatal to children and pets. Unlike many mildly toxic plants that cause stomach upset, autumn crocus poisoning is a medical emergency that can result in organ failure and death. The danger is amplified by the plant's innocent appearance. Those delicate cup-shaped flowers look harmless and inviting. Children might pick them for bouquets, and pets might nibble on them while playing in the yard. Even adults can accidentally expose themselves to toxins while gardening without gloves. What makes autumn crocus particularly treacherous is its growth pattern. The flowers appear in fall without leaves, making identification difficult for people unfamiliar with the plant. The foliage doesn't emerge until spring, creating confusion about what's planted where.
Many gardeners plant autumn crocus along walkways and near patios because they want to enjoy the unexpected fall color up close. This places the toxic plants exactly where people and pets are most likely to encounter them. If you're finding this information valuable, please like this video and share it with other gardeners. This could literally save lives. For safe fall color, try alternatives like fall-blooming asters, hardy chrysanthemums, or fall-blooming crocuses, Crocus species, which are far less toxic and equally beautiful.
Plant number 8. Disposable mums, the money wasters. Every fall, grocery stores, hardware stores, and garden centers stack their entrances with enormous, colorful pots of chrysanthemums. These mums seem to scream autumn with their rich oranges, deep reds, and golden yellows. They're affordable, immediately impressive, and appear to be the perfect solution for instant fall decorating. Here's the reality that retailers hope you won't discover. Most of these mums are greenhouse-forced, end-of-life plants designed to be thrown away after a few weeks of display. They're grown under artificial conditions, pumped full of chemicals to produce maximum blooms, and sold at the peak of their brief flowering cycle. By the time you get them home, these mums are already dying. Within 2 to 4 weeks, the flowers fade, the foliage turns brown, and you're left with expensive compost. Even if you plant them in the ground immediately, most lack the root development and hardiness needed to survive winter. This creates a wasteful cycle where gardeners spend money on plants they'll replace annually. Over time, the cost of disposable mums adds up to hundreds of dollars that could have been invested in permanent landscaping. The environmental impact is equally problematic. Millions of these short-lived plants end up in landfills every year, along with their plastic pots and synthetic growing media. Let me know in the comments how many times you've bought big box store mums only to toss them out weeks later. I bet almost everyone has fallen for this marketing trap. For lasting fall color, invest in hardy mums from local nurseries, fall-blooming perennials like asters and sedum, or ornamental kale and cabbage that can handle frost and provide months of color.
Plant number 9, burning bush, the ecosystem destroyer. Finally, we reach the most problematic plant on our list, the notorious burning bush. Every autumn, these shrubs transform into spectacular displays of fiery red foliage that make entire neighborhoods glow. The color is so intense and reliable that burning bush has become synonymous with fall beauty in American landscaping. But this stunning autumn display comes at an enormous ecological cost. Burning bush is one of the most invasive shrubs ever introduced to North American landscapes. Its berries are readily eaten by birds, who then deposit seeds throughout forests, fields, and natural areas where the shrubs establish dense colonies. Once established in wild areas, burning bush crowds out native understory plants that wildlife depends on for food and shelter. It creates monocultures where biodiversity plummets and entire ecosystems become degraded. The economic impact of controlling burning bush in natural areas costs taxpayers millions of dollars annually. In home landscapes, burning bush doesn't stay politely contained. It produces thousands of seeds that sprout throughout your yard and neighboring properties. The shrubs also spread through root suckers, forming thickets that become increasingly difficult to manage. Many states have banned or restricted burning bush sales, but it still appears in garden centers, often with misleading labels suggesting it's an improved, non-invasive variety. Don't be fooled, all burning bush varieties have invasive potential. If you've ever walked through parks or natural areas and noticed huge patches of red shrubs dominating the landscape, that was probably burning bush doing its ecological damage. Share your observations in the comments below. For brilliant fall color without the environmental impact, choose native alternatives like oakleaf hydrangea, viburnum species, serviceberry, or sumac. These provide equally spectacular autumn displays while supporting local wildlife and ecosystems.
Smart fall planting alternatives. Now that we've covered the plants to avoid, let's focus on positive choices that will give you beautiful results without the problems.
Fall is actually one of the best times to establish new plants because soil stays warm while air temperatures cool, allowing roots to develop before winter stress. For spectacular fall color, instead of burning bush, plant native oak leaf hydrangea with its burgundy and crimson fall foliage, or choose viburnum species that offer brilliant reds and purples while providing berries for wildlife. For shade and structure, replace Bradford pears and Norway maples with native alternatives like sugar maples, red oaks, or serviceberry trees. These provide reliable shade, stunning fall color, and support for beneficial insects and birds. For ground coverage, skip English ivy and try native alternatives like wild ginger, pachysandra, or creeping phlox. They provide coverage without invasive tendencies. For late-season blooms, instead of toxic autumn crocus or disposable mums, plant hardy perennials like fall-blooming asters, sedum autumn joy, or ornamental kale that can handle frost. For texture and movement, choose native grasses like little bluestem, buffalo grass, or prairie drop seed instead of invasive ornamental varieties.
Professional planting tips for fall success. Soil preparation. Before planting anything this fall, invest time in soil preparation. Add organic compost to improve drainage and nutrition. Test your soil pH and adjust if necessary. Well-prepared soil gives new plants the best chance of establishing strong root systems before winter. Timing matters. Plant at least 6 weeks before your first hard frost to allow root establishment. This timing varies by location, so check with your local extension office for specific recommendations. Mulching strategy. Apply 2 to 3 inches of organic mulch around new plantings to insulate roots, retain moisture, and suppress weeds. Keep mulch away from plant stems to prevent rot and pest problems. Watering wisdom. Water new plants deeply but infrequently to encourage deep root growth. Continue watering until the ground freezes, as plants need moisture throughout fall and early winter. Protection planning. Consider protecting tender plants with burlap screens or cold frames in harsh climates. This extra care helps ensure survival through challenging weather.
Building a sustainable garden ecosystem. The key to successful gardening isn't just avoiding problem plants, it's actively choosing species that contribute to healthy, sustainable landscapes. Native plants require less water, fertilizer, and pesticide inputs while providing essential resources for local wildlife. Consider wildlife needs. Choose plants that provide nectar for pollinators, berries for birds, and shelter for beneficial insects. This creates a balanced ecosystem that naturally manages pests and supports biodiversity. Plan for all seasons. Select plants that offer interest throughout the year: spring flowers, summer foliage, fall color, and winter structure. This eliminates the temptation to fill gaps with quick fixes. Think long-term. Invest in quality plants that will grow and improve over time rather than disposable options that need annual replacement. This approach saves money and creates more beautiful, mature landscapes.
Remember to subscribe to Seniors Gardening Advice if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our weekly tips that can save you time, money, and frustration in your garden. Avoiding these 9 problematic plants might seem restrictive, but it's actually liberating. By making smart choices from the beginning, you'll create a garden that becomes more beautiful and easier to maintain each year, instead of one that creates constant problems and expenses. The plants we've discussed today, Japanese knotweed, giant hogweed, English ivy, Bradford pear, invasive ornamental grasses, Norway maple, autumn crocus, disposable mums, and burning bush might look appealing in the short term, but they'll cost you dearly in time, money, and ecological damage over the long run. What's the worst plant mistake you've ever made in your garden? Was it one of the 9 we discussed today, or something else entirely? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might save another gardener from making the same costly mistake. Smart gardening isn't about having the biggest budget or the fanciest plants. It's about making informed decisions that create beautiful, sustainable landscapes you can actually enjoy.
By choosing native alternatives and avoiding problem plants, you're investing in a garden that will reward you for years to come. If this video helped you avoid a costly gardening mistake, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other gardeners in your community. Together, we can help more people create beautiful gardens without the hidden problems and expenses. Thanks for watching Seniors Gardening Advice, and remember, the smartest gardens are planted with knowledge, not just hope. I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore the best native plants for creating stunning fall displays that actually last.